Hey everyone, welcome to the ImmortaliTea Podcast. I'm your host Jake, here with Josh. Today we have some Tie Luo Han, a Rock Oolong, otherwise known as a yancha from Wuyishan in Fujian, China. These are very special teas. I think, last time I referenced Gung Fu being created around certain kinds of oolong. These are the type. Gung Fu, of course, being the setup, with the guy one, the lidded cup, the pitcher, and the two small cups. This is a tea drinking method specifically designed to bring out the nuance and complexity of this kind of oolong tea. So here we have what's called Tie Luo Han or Iron Arhat, probably my favorite varietal of Rock Oolong. I just find that these have very deep, fruity notes and a nice minerally character. So I guess we'll just go ahead and start. Josh, do you have questions about what we're drinking?
How long should they steep this one for?
So we're going to do multiple steeps. I'll probably start kind of maybe around 10 or 15 seconds and just kind of go from there. Maybe we'll go up to 20 or 30 seconds. They don't have to steep super long.
And rock oolongs are special because they were grown in the mountains or grown among the rocks, right?
Yeah, exactly. So if you see maybe the very famous Chinese brush paintings, you see those those kind of very jagged cliff tops with mist and little shrubs growing on them. That's basically what we're talking about from Wuyishan. That's basically that. So just very minerally rich soil, lots of mist being very good for the tea because it makes the plant produce more chlorophyll as it grows. So just very rugged conditions before adding any water, the vessel being preheated. You can get a little sniff to the dry leaves that'll kind of wake them up a little, and you start smelling some of the, I would call that very fruity and some floral notes. So I am going to rinse this one, so I'm going to just kind of do a very quick steep and then throw it out. I'm doing that because these are just very sturdy, hardy teas. And the first steep is not going to get much. It's just going to kind of pull off the surface. Also, the other reason being that we actually rest these for a year. So this was harvested spring 2018. Gets kind of any dust that's collected off the leaves too. That smells really nice.
Oh yeah, that does smell really nice.
Yeah.
And then if you look,
Lots of florals.
yeah, you can just see it's rinsed off. There's no dust, nothing from aging or roasting the
Yeah.
tea process. Just clean.
Yeah. So here, now we're going to start. So, let's give that a little stir.
And so we're gonna do this first steep for about 15 to 20 seconds, maybe less.
Just feel it out, right? Yeah, it's somewhere in the 10 to 20 second range.
With the Rock Oolong variety, the quality of the tea sometimes the quality of the tea is determined by the age of the tea bush.
So some teas, a lot of the very heavily farmed teas will just be from smaller bushes that are periodically pulled out and replanted just to keep them fresh, they want younger plants just because they grow nicer. These are teas that grow semi-wild. So Wuyishan is essentially a nature preserve. Of course, they're not native to that particular region of China, but they're allowed to grow there in semi-undisturbed areas. So some of the bushes will be, 50, 60, 100 years old. I couldn't comment on the exact age of these bushes, but I can see that they're not very young.
And the age of the tea bush can also help give it different energies, right? Kind of that, the end effect of the tea on your body.
Tea has the tea plant throws out basically a root structure. It wants to be at least 6 feet in the ground. The older a particular plant is, obviously, the deeper its root structure will go. And also, the more biodynamic the area is, the more genetic diversity there is in the region, the more different nutrients that the plant will have to draw on. So it's very scientific. It's very like logical. If there's a monoculture of just one tea plant, then all the nutrients are going to be sucked out of the soil in the area. But if there's it's growing next to like 40 or 50 other plants, then there's other nutrients being added to the soil. There's more. The plant's healthier, happier. It tastes better, more complex. So what is this tasting for you?
I get the smoky flavors, but then there's some type of stone fruit in there. I don't know. What is a stone fruit for people who might not know that term?
Sure, stone fruit. It's thrown around a lot in wine. It just means fruit with a pit. So peaches, pears, apricots. Did I say pears? Pears don't have pits.
Peaches, pears, apricots. Because I do feel some type of apricot flavor coming through. But there's more there. It's
Plums.
Like smoky undertones.
Yeah, so stone fruit, it kind of sounds fancy, but it's a little bit of a lazy catch-all word. So I like to think exactly like more like what fruit does this taste like? Maybe I think apricots might be the closest, or like dried apricots. And then of course the other kind of unique thing about these teas, in addition to like where they're grown, is how they're processed. So I'm just gonna hold the guy one up a little. You can see how dark the leaves are. That's from the roast. These teas are traditionally roasted, charcoal fired traditionally. These days there's more oven roasting. It doesn't really make too much of a difference. I've had them side by side. I think you can taste a little bit in the charcoal. The charcoal's nice. The traditional method is definitely nice. But like you were saying with the smoky notes, there's definitely like maybe it brings out a woodsy or tobacco-y or sulfury character, which I find really nice. It's a very nice complement on top of this like base that's like maybe more floral or fruity. But you're getting this very like nice depth of field when you drink this tea.
Why did people start drinking specifically Rock Oolong? Because I feel like when I drink it, I feel like I'm getting more minerals, or maybe something more from the charcoal smoking. I just feel like the tea is pulling something out of my body, and there's just more like minerals because of it. Just feels more minerally. I don't know why.
So I mean that would literally be from the what we were talking about earlier, the rockiness of the soil. It goes back to how I was saying that tea has this tendency to like pull out the qualities of the natural world that are surrounding it. It's like you're getting to like actually taste and like have some kind of communion with that like misty, rocky cliff environment.
Yeah, I can definitely tell, because there was a moment where I was only drinking high mountain oolongs.
Sure.
And then I started to experiment with the Rock Oolong, and it was like night and day.
Yeah.
It was like fresh kind of energy, some type of hydration going on there, But then I realized that I was missing minerals.
Sure.
And so I started drinking the Rock Oolongs, and the first time I drank them for a week, I felt like my blood, for some reason, just got calmer. It was almost as if my blood removed swelling or like inflammation, because the tea itself I don't know, it just feels different. How many times would you steep this tea for?
These I think you can expect. I mean, Rock Oolongs in general, you can probably expect 4 or 5 good steepings. And you can definitely keep pushing beyond that, but you kind of the fruity and floral character kind of falls off, which we'll probably see here. But usually you can push them a good long time, and not as much as like, for instance, a pour, which maybe you could get maybe like twice that many steepings off of.
Yeah, the smoky notes definitely came out more than the fruity on the last one.
Uh-huh.
And then I like how the leaves are getting bigger.
Yeah, definitely. So, kind of nice whole leaves, but you can see these aren't buds, right? These are like leaf leaves, so they're a little farther down the plant. So, some teas are very have a very bud heavy style, but these are the bigger leaves that grow farther down the tea plant. There's maybe a little less energy in terms of caffeine, but there's a lot of sweetness and richness that you get when you steep the big leaves. So how do you think this one's evolved?
It's almost like the fruitiness is totally going away, and it's just like smoky, kind of aged minerally. It's very minerally now.
No, it's definitely gotten more earthy.
Yeah, way more earthy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would say woodsy, charcoaly, maybe even bordering on like ginseng. I think there's a medicinal taste to this.
Yeah, it's getting to that medicinal taste. Ginseng for sure. It's like after I took a drink, my throat started to feel ginsengy. The other thing is the texture of this tea. Like it definitely has like a thicker texture.
One of the interesting things I think about like good tea is the body, right? So it's not like you're just drinking hot water. At least you shouldn't be. If you're drinking a tea that's basically feels like hot water in your mouth with a little flavor, that's probably not a very good tea. Good tea should change the quality of the water. You should be able to like feel like a fullness. It's sometimes it'll feel oily, or like in this case, rocky, minerally. But like with wine, there should be a texture and there should be like feeling.
So how many steeps have we done?
Was that the fourth? I think.
Yeah, the third or the fourth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll do this one more. I'll give it a good hit here. You can see it's basically expanded as much as it's going to expand. Hold that up to the camera. Very nice, dark leaves.
So, knowing what this tea tastes like, how would you suggest this tea to someone else? I'm not answering the question right, obviously. But
we're tea drunk. It's okay.
Yeah. We are now tea drunk.
This is the kind of tea that I like to drink when it's slightly colder outside. Like, I find these to be particularly good autumn teas. Like right now, it's for instance, it's kind of like a snowy spring day. Definitely colder than it's been. So this feels very nice to me. It's very rich, very warming. I think if you like, some like a dark pu'er or black tea, or even like this could even be good for coffee drinkers to try. Someone who wants like a little more oomph, a little more warmth, because generally tea is either warming or cooling, and there's a whole Chinese medicine theory behind that. But this is definitely a very warming tea.
That makes sense.
Just someone who wants something like very like rich feeling. Like, I think there's kind of like a chocolatey quality to this too, right?
Yeah, you steeped that one for longer. Was it just because we were getting deeper into the steeps?
We're getting kind of towards the end. I just wanted to pull out what left was in there, and we'll just see. I think this will be a pretty good. That's a nice color. I think this will be a pretty good steep. And these ones, they're fairly hard to push, too long. Like there's not too much like bitterness or tannins or really anything like that. And I believe that comes from the fact that it's not particularly bud heavy, right? It's just these nice, big, dark roasted leaves. So, I think this is a really nice steep.
Yeah.
It's like creamy.
Yeah, it really is taking on that like other texture in the water. And there is a creaminess there.
Creamy, ginseng, chocolate, woodsy.
Yeah, that's
apricots.
There. So I mean, you could really steep this one, even though we might be done with it sooner than most people. You could steep this for a while. I mean, because
sure,
I would steep it for another maybe 4 to 6 times at home.
Sure.
But
yeah.
I mean, just because I'm trying to get the most out of the tea.
Yeah, you'd lose some of the complexity, but I think the body would still be there.
So, are there any general steeping rules for rock oolongs?
Well, rinsing. I would always rinse. So some people like to drink the rinse, but you should still like consider it to be like, the prequel steep. It's like not really started yet. You can push these a little harder than like a green pu'er or like a green oolong. You're not gonna get, like I've said, you're not gonna get too many steeps out of these. But I would say in general these are a really good tea to gung fu because they do change so much and there's so much nuance and there's so much depth of field to them. The biggest general rule is just pay attention, like, because I think this one went from like a, like a very like this big like floral fruity explosion to this really like nice, rich, creamy, like minerally woodsy soup. Which I think both are great, and I think you want to enjoy both ends.
Can you talk about rock oolongs, and for anybody thinking about trying it, where they can find a rock oolong like this, and then what other names they should look for?
Yeah, so we have this one and several others on our website, tridentcafe.com/teas. So this one again is Tie Luo Han, means iron Arhat. It's probably my favorite just as a varietal. Just I prefer kind of like a dry fruit kind of profile. Others are more maybe aromatic floral, that the emphasis is more on the florals, like the Chilan that we also sell is very, very different from this, but also in the same genre. Other big names, Wuyishan. We have a really nice aged Wuyishan right now too. Da Heng Pao is a very famous one. There's a lot of complexity in these teas, a lot of very subtle difference, but I think if you just start with like 2, 3, or 4 of them that like sound nice to you, I think that's like gonna be a good place to start. Thanks again for being joining us at the tea table here, everyone. Again, I'm your host Jake. I was here with Josh Hyde. We enjoyed a very nice Tie Luo Han, so yeah, check it out. You can find it on tridentcafe.com/teas, or if you're in Boulder, you can come in the shop, Trident Cafe. We'll talk to you about tea all day long. Thanks for being here.